What's up, kitchen table wizards? What's up, deck brewers from all over the world? Yes, it's tribal time again, and for all of you who follow our Gauntlet series, well, you know there is a Dino deck. Well, this video will give all you Dino lovers a lot of inspiration, and all of you who like to predict the winners of the matches, well, you can find out all the info about the Dino deck right in this video. Let's go!
Dino Riders.
Now, when I was a little boy, I was really fascinated with dinos. I knew all their names, I knew how tall they were, I knew how much they weighed, I just knew everything. I even voluntarily did like this class presentation about dinos in middle school. Now, Bram, why are you telling us this? Well, I was one of the only people who was, well, maybe not the only, but the few people that really were excited when dinos came out in Ixalan. There were a lot of people skeptical, it didn't really fit into the Magic universe, etc, etc. I really like them, I really like the dinos, and I also really like building dino decks. I built two of them, but today we're going to talk about a ramp deck. And if you also want to build a dino deck, you can do so by finding all the cards at our nice sponsor, our partner, Cardmarket. Still the best place to find your dino cards on the interwebs. And yes, you guessed it, we are giving away another voucher this time. The only thing you need to do, subscribe to the channel, give the video also a like, yeah? It's not too much of an effort. There we go. And leave a comment below, and then you are eligible for one of those Cardmarket vouchers that I will be giving away at the end of the video. Now, usually I ask you guys to put something in the comments, and this time it's important because I want to improve the quality of our videos, and I want to know which video of all of them so far did you like the best and why. Just put it in the comments below and maybe you're eligible for a Cardmarket voucher. So in this video, as always, we are building a nice budget deck. We stayed under $50 if possible, and this time it was easy because we ended around $40 US, 25 euros for our deck. Now the deck is three colors. We play the NAYA colors. It's a ramp deck, so we play mainly green, but also white and red. Now first off, of course, we need to start with the flavor. We need to start with the lands. The basic lands consists of 10 forests, 5 plains and 1 mountain. And I really like the flavor of the lands in this deck. The forest was rather easy, as Jumpstart gave Elena Danner the opportunity to create for us this forest full of dinos. I also think that Ikoria is a great dino set, and these plains with these huge trees seem fitting for a dino theme. Jesper Icing is our artist of choice. The one and only Lonely Mountain will be this great valley by Jonas de Roo. For me, it comes straight out of Jurassic Park. Now we keep our mana base cheap, so I included some guild gates for the fixing. 3 Selesnya guild gates, 2 Gruul guild gates and 1 Boros guild gate. I also included 1 jungle shrine and 1 unclaimed territory. Now this was a fairly straightforward mana base, I know. We continue with some straightforward ramp cards. I included the Dino Rampant Growth variant Thunderherd Migration and 3 copies of the Circuitous Routes. The last one is great for the fixing, as it can get us some gates as well, which is very important to get our big dinos out there. Now I told you that when I was a little boy I really liked dinos. I also watched a cartoon called Dino Riders. Great animation from back in the day, right? And we also have some Dino Riders in this deck.
Harness the power, Dino Riders.
We play a bunch of double green, so having some Llanowar elves around is never a bad thing. Both Kinjali Collar and Otepic Huntmaster also make our dinos cheaper, and the last one even can give one haste. The Atsokan Seer is a bit slower, however it's a very flexible card, as it can give us mana of any color, and you can sack it to get back a dino from your graveyard. So it's a card I'm always happy to draw in this deck. Priest of the Awakening Sun can gain you some life in the early game, and this is very useful against very aggressive decks. You can also sacrifice it to search for your favorite dino. Our biggest dino rider is Forerunner of the Empire, which also has you search for a dino, but in this case it goes on top of your library. So much with the dino riders, now let's look at some reptiles. Green is our main color and our first dino comes in a pair. For 3 mana, Thrashing Brontodon is a very solid card that attacks and blocks very well. And it can also act as a removal spell for artifacts or enchantments. The Territorial Allosaurus is more of the same. 5/5 for 4 mana are some great stats, and its kicker ability is often a good removal spell. I also included 1 copy of the Ripjaw Raptor. A little less aggressive than the Allosaurus, but it works great with the Forerunner of the Empire. The Shifting Ceratops is the mono blue player's worst nightmare. And trust me when I say the Otter deck is glad they avoided this one in the matchup. It can't be countered, has protection from blue and gets reach, haste or trample for 1 extra green. Then our first multicolor dino is the Regisaur Alpha. For 5 mana you get 7 power divided between a 4/4 that gives other dinos haste and a 3/3 dino token with trample. And when you make a budget dino deck, I am from the opinion you need to include a charging Monstrosaur. You slam it down and attack for 5 trample damage straight away. That's always nice, right? Another multicolor dino I like in this deck is this Quartwoods Crasher. 5 mana gives you a 6/6 with trample, and whenever creatures with trample deal combat damage to a player, you get an extra dino. And now we are getting into the big dinos. Now this rampaging Brontodon rarely doesn't hit for lethal. It costs 7 mana for a 7/7 trampler, which when it attacks gets +1/+1 for each land you control. So having this card being a 15/15 attacker with trample is no exception in this deck.
Oh yeah.
Awakening Sun's Avatar is possibly our most impactful dino in this deck. Unless your opponent is also playing with dinos, of course. Because when you cast this one from your hand, destroy all non-dino creatures. Now it's triple white to cast, but with all the fixing and the gates in the deck, that's not really a problem. So I even included 2 copies. Now in this deck I also made room for some legendary dinos.
Legendary. It's gonna be legendary. It's gonna be legendary.
Let's start off with Karuga the Macro Sage. Just the fact that this is a dino hippo gives me enough reason to play it in the deck. But it also gives us some card draw, which is quite nice. Yidaro Wandering Monster is a card that you can brew a whole deck around, but I prefer to only have 1 legendary card of each in my casual decks, as they're unique creatures. This is an 8/8 with trample and haste, and that's also quite unique. And even more unique is this Zetalpa Primal Dawn. It's one of the 2 elder dinos I play in the deck and it hits very hard. It's indestructible, it flies, it has trample, vigilance and double strike. No wonder this big flying reptile costs 8 mana, but trust me, it's worth it. Now the most powerful big dino is without a doubt Zekama. Now he was a little bit too expensive for this deck. So Gishat, Sun's Avatar is a worthy substitute. 8 mana will give you a big hasty dino with trample and vigilance, and when it connects, you can put dinos directly from your library into play. Galta Primal Hunger is our second elder dinosaur. With all the ramp and the dinos, you'll be playing this as early as turn 6, which is especially nice if you have a Regisaur Alpha out there to give it haste. The focus on this deck is on the big dinos. We need to play dinos and stomp our opponent. That's pretty simple. But we do have 4 more cards in the deck. 3 copies of Commune with Dinosaurs is a great turn 1 play, and even in the late game it's a welcome draw. And when you can play only 1 mana to Savage Stomp your opponent's creature, I just needed to include 1 copy of this sorcery as well. So this was the deck. Now let's have a look how powerful this deck really is. This deck can play big dinos fast, so it warrants a score of 8 in the power department. I also love to teach magic to new players with this deck. It's pretty straightforward, but it still has some tricks. This is definitely a more offensive than defensive deck. The only real defensive card in the deck is the Awakening Sun's Avatar. I like playing ramp strategies, so to me this is an enjoyable deck that is definitely value for money. And if you like to predict the winner of our matches in our gauntlet, this segment is really important for you guys. It's the metagame review. Being a deck that plays a lot of big creatures, it plays well against other creature decks. On the rare occasion aggressive decks can't be too fast, but the mid-range deck is mostly a good opponent. The deck struggles more against control decks and combo decks, but hey, you can't win them all, right? So we're heading back to the normal world, we are leaving the prehistoric times, it's time for our card market voucher. And the winner is, drumroll please! Longtime fan, official Magisto, congratulations! You can find all the information how to contact me in the description below. So this was our deck. In our gauntlet we are going to see the dinos versus the sea monsters. So if you haven't checked out our matches, I'll put a little link here and you can watch it. And when you do, you keep it casual. Bye.
Diplodocus with motorized walking action. Deinonychus and Pteranodon with figures and battle gear, each sold separately. Dino Riders.